Traditional marriage, or should I say state sponsored marriage, is nothing more than a legal contract between a man, a woman, and the government. And that contract is for the sharing and the distribution of assets. That is traditional marriage or state sponsored marriage. Spiritual marriage is a total different marriage from state sponsored marriage. Spiritual marriage is different. Jesus, or the Apostle Paul, when he was talking about spiritual marriages, he said, if a man goes out and he purchases a harlot or a prostitute, if he purchases one of those and they have sex, the apostle said that you and the harlot become one. You join your body with the harlot, so both spirit intertwine and you become one. So that is a form of marriage. In the time of slavery, when the blacks couldn't really have a state-sponsored wedding because the state would not approve their wedding, they jump over the broom to show that they were married. But when you talk about certain things, in certain aspects of the era, we call them common law wives and common law husband. But I think that is not the common law. That is the real marriage. If you have a child for a man, that man is automatically your husband. That is why a man with 5 or 6 baby mother, in fact, has 5 or 6 wives. He has 5 or 6 households that he is responsible for. He has 5 or 6 baby mother. And the 5 or 6 baby mother is 5 or 6 husband. The same thing with the woman who have different children by different men. She's a wife of several men. And the women that you sleep with, that you don't have no children with, they are your concubines. That is why David had 300 wives who had children for him, and concubines. Not David, Solomon had 300 wives. Those who had children for him, and those who he just sleep with his concubines. So it's the same way. Once you and a person are involved to certain elements where you start to create other human beings and you start to make other things and you intertwine. The people nowadays call them your spirit husband. They call them your spirit husband. And they try to explain to you that you are soul ties and you have all different kind of things. But the fact is not even soul ties nor spirit husband. The fact is the matter that you are married to the person. You start a family. You have children together. That's your husband. And that's your wife. Because if state-sponsored wedding or traditional wedding was ordained or pushed forth on us by God, then it could not have been manipulated by the states. The state couldn't get up all willy-nilly and change the rules of marriage and say this can marry and that can marry and change the rule. They wouldn't be able to do that if it was divinely sponsored by God. But the thing that is sponsored by God is like Adam and Eve in the garden, and Adam knew his wife. The word knew means sex. Adam had sex with his wife. That is what makes them man and wife, because they have sex. Even in the traditional marriage or the state-sponsored marriage, if you go and you sign the paper, you perform the vows as they do it, and you sign the paper. And if you and your partner do not have sex, and when I say partner, I mean man and woman, do not have sex, then there's no marriage. Because when you go to the court or you go for a divorce, the first thing the judge asks you, was the marriage consummated? What is asking you, did you have sex? If the marriage was not consummated, it simply means that you were not legally married. You can get an annulment. But once you and the person have been sexually active, once you have been sexually active, then that's when you have to get a divorce because you were sexually active. So, example, a person who married to get a green card or whatever reason they married to, and they never had sex. That was never ever a marriage. It is not a marriage in no sense of the word. Even though they signed the paper and they have the marriage contract and they have to go through the divorce and go through everything, it was never ever a marriage. Because the marriage simply means that you and the person have to have sex. You have to be sexually active with a person for the person to be your husband and the person to be your wife. That is why back in the days in Jamaica, that's why Michael Manley come and he said, no bastard is not there again. No bastard. And he bring in the thing and said there's no common law wife. If you live with a man and you're not state-sponsored married or legally married and the man want to kick you out, I don't know about here, but I'm talking in Jamaica and the one want to kick you out, you can sue him, not for alimony, but for palimony. Because it's the same thing. The man is your husband and use the wife. Once you begin to produce, your husband and your wife.